Hello and welcome to the LSAT Demon Daily. My name is Erik. I am a teacher and a tutor with LSAT Demon, and joining me today, I am very happy to have Leslie Blodgett, who is a personal statement editor and writing tutor with the Demon. How are you doing, Leslie?
Hi, Erik. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We don't get to a ton of personal statement stuff on this podcast because we are typically and probably justifiably concerned with the LSAT, but the personal statement is still an important part of your law school application. So you were the perfect person to have on to talk about that topic. Maybe just introduce yourself quickly and talk about what it is that you do.
Sure, absolutely. I've been an editor for 20 years, and so I've seen a lot of different writing come through my desk, and I have to say that I just love kind of the approach that we take here at LSAT Demon for the personal statement. It's engaging and fun when these essays are done, and they're so much fun to read. And it is really important to spend time editing and polishing your personal statements. The GPA and the LSAT are, of course, the most important. The LSAT's the most important, but that's all mathematical. And so this is the chance for them to see your heart and to see more than just the numbers. So,
Well, I wanted to talk about today was how we move from a rough draft to the next step, the next draft, how it is that we begin to polish, because nobody's rough draft is going to be perfect. Nobody's rough draft, I think, should be perfect. But imagine that I have just on my own put some stuff on the page. I've gotten out some ideas of what I think would make a good personal statement, and I bring it to you. And I present you my baby, my rough draft personal statement. What are some things, or what are some of the top things that you would expect to start cutting out or editing away first? Like, are there some common edits that you typically look for in adjusting a rough draft?
yeah. And I'm not really going to talk about grammar too much. It should just be a given that the grammar should be perfect. But my first one is going to be all about presentation, and that is long paragraphs. So some of the first drafts that I see are just, someone spilled all of their thoughts into one long paragraph. And short paragraphs help make it easy to read and navigate. Imagine being the person, sitting down to read something and you get distracted. You have to look away for a minute. If the paragraphs are separated nicely, it's so easy to find where you were. You don't lose your place. No one's requiring these people to read every single word of your essay. So if they lose their place, they're probably not going to come make their way back to it and read every single word. So presentation is just as important as content.
Trying to make it easier for the person reading to actually stick with it, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and so my rule of thumb is about 6 lines each. So for paragraphs to be no longer than 6 lines each.
So making paragraphs shorter has a lot to do with presentation and with making your writing more accessible to the reader, I guess, or at least more appealing. That's not even something that a reader would have to start reading to feel, right? I mean, they just look at the page, and if they see that the whole thing is one paragraph, they're going to automatically have a different reaction than looking at saying, oh, nice short paragraphs, right?
Bingo. I mean, yeah, that's what, you need to be strategizing your entire approach to how you come across to them. You need to impress them. That's what it's all about. So yeah, if you get an essay that's just you can tell it's just scrambled thoughts in one long paragraph versus, a nicely organized, many times the essays that we work out is exactly 2 pages. But it can be 1.5 to 2 pages, anywhere in between there. Mm-hmm. But, I just love it's 2 pages, full of, you can tell that each sentence is going to be important, because you can tell they've been chosen so carefully before you even read it. So, yeah.
So I think that's a great first thing to look for. Just immediately you can spot that. Are my paragraphs too long? Does this look like an overwhelming block of text? Anything else on a rough draft that you're looking to eliminate right away?
Yes. One of the first things that I will eliminate is anything negative that I see. I see students say negative things about themselves, often in the very first paragraph. I think, often they're trying to set themselves up for a win at the end, but it just starts you off on the wrong foot. I also see them say negative things about their boss. Instead, show me how you helped your boss do something awesome. And if your boss is really terrible, it's probably not the time to talk about that, but you can show how what you did achieved the result. You can say I did this instead of my boss did this. So that's great. And coworkers, maybe the person who had the position before you was really bad and you have to clean up their mess, but still don't blame it on them. Instead, talk about just what you did that solved the problem. So you don't have to say anything negative at all in your entire essay. So don't.
Sure. I love the ways that you recommend kind of shifting the narrative from negative to the positive in terms of like, this is what I did. Maybe this is too obvious a question, but why do we want to eliminate negativity from our personal statement?
Well, if you're the one who gets to choose who's coming to your school, I think you want someone that wins. I think you want someone that takes a situation that may be negative, because as these people are reading about a situation that if you're telling them just the facts, you're just telling them the facts, they can see for themselves if something might come across, might be kind of a negative situation. They know that. Mm-hmm. So if you just show that you address it by taking charge and doing something about it, then that shows that that's what you'll do at law school too. So they're going to have you in the class to help do that, in class when needed. Take charge and be the positive person there. And it isn't just about being positive. It's about winning and getting results and showing that in your personal statement, and also just setting you up to be that person in your career. I think that writing the personal statement this way can really help people to have confidence in their career and be able to talk about where they're coming from and how that helps them in law school.
That's great. So painting yourself as someone who, when faced with a challenge, is not just going to say, man, this is really tough, it sucks to be me, but who actually does something about it and overcomes it.
Absolutely. And also, like I said, this is something that happens often in first drafts. I often see this. So if I'm on a committee, I read a lot of these, but I know I don't read as many of them as the people on the admissions committees. So if all day long you're reading like people complaining about, or just saying, I was so terrible at this, I'm meaning to lead up to saying that now you're good at it, but you're just reading all this negativity all the time. If you get like that essay that's just like this bright beacon of I did this and this and this, I solved the problem, and we celebrate it. I mean, you want to of course break it down like that so you actually show and prove that you did something substantial, but just do it in a positive way. And you don't have to add a bunch of sunshine. You can just take out anything negative. That's all you have to do. So yeah.
No, that's a great point. I love the reminder that yours is one in a stack of many personal statements coming across these admissions committees' desks. So keeping that in mind and thinking, what am I going to do to help separate myself and actually be a joy to read amidst what are probably a bunch of some very good personal statements and some other not so good personal statements. All right, great. So 2 things so far that we're looking to cut out of first drafts: long paragraphs and anything negative. Anything else that you are commonly editing out of people's rough drafts?
Yeah, Eric, I am often cutting when people are talking about their childhood. So people will talk about, I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 6 years old. I did a project in middle school, that really, that's what's going to bring me into law school. Why not talk about a project that you did just recently and show, how you did that? People just think that they need to talk about their whole life journey in the personal statement, but you don't. You can just pick something recent and show who you are as a mature, savvy adult today, because that's who the law schools are considering. They're not considering you as the as the sixth grader, they're not considering children, they're considering adults, and specifically, they're considering who you are today.
Very good point. And I'm sure there are, in that mountain of personal statements sitting in the admissions office, lots of personal statements of people saying, I've known ever since sixth grade that I wanted to be a lawyer, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. That's what I mean by it, is that this is something I see all the time, is people just talking about their childhood. So, there are sometimes certain points that could probably be better in a diversity statement, because sometimes that's a little bit more about like, background, where you came from. But personal statement should be just about like what you did about it. What did you do about it after you were 6 years old and decided to be a lawyer? There must have been a trajectory you've been on, because now you're applying to law school. So, what have you been doing most recently on that trajectory? Have you been working in a law office, or what have you been doing? So talk about that.
I think that's excellent advice, which would help to portray you as a mature adult on your application for sure. I can maybe anticipate some listeners' response, which would be to ask or to push back and say, I don't feel like I've done anything impressive or recently. Maybe I'm still in school as a college junior or senior, and I just don't feel like I've done anything recently that law schools would be impressed by. How would I tackle that if really all I can think of that to write about comes from the past?
A lot of people that I hear that from, because I do hear that a lot, actually do have stuff to talk about. They do, like, they have a job they're working at that they just, oh, I didn't think that, I'm just doing my job. But, you're doing it the way that you would do it and the way that no one else would do it. And so let's dive into that and find out, what have you done that's been impressive, that's helped someone, whether it's your boss or a client, or, obviously depends on what the situation is. And if someone's still in school, that's awesome, because, and if you haven't been doing anything at all that's, that you can talk about, you still have the chance. Go out and, find something to do. People that are still in school, like I'll have people that talk about being in, that have leadership positions in like a pre-law club, or even in, I don't know, like a Greek organization, or, just whatever it is. So, I don't know. Most people have something that they can talk about, because, I have faith in all of you law school applicants that you're out there doing awesome things, and that's why you want to be a lawyer, is because they have the capacity to accomplish amazing things. Things that require problem solving, or whatever it is. You tell me, but don't just tell me. Show me. That's, we love the show, don't tell. So show it through actions. So it doesn't have to be a job, a recent job. I gave that example because it often is, but it doesn't. But it could be something else.
That's great. Well, if you'll allow me to now turn this into a plug for you, I think that this is where having someone else look at your work or talk to you about generating personal statement topic can be super useful. Because like you mentioned, lots of people come to you with this exact question thinking, I don't think I've done anything worth writing about. And then you start to ask them about what it is that they're doing, and can quickly find something that is totally worth talking about, and which shows the applicant to be a hardworking, responsible, mature person that law schools would love to admit. But for those of us just living our lives, we might not see that. It might take an outside pair of eyes to kind of get at that and allow us to realize the cool stuff that we're doing and have going on. So how can people get in touch with you if people feel like they have those questions, or would like to have someone to help them talk through those questions? How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can shoot me an email, Leslie, Leslie, at lsatdemon.com. That's the easiest way. I'm on the tutors page on the websites. And there are resources too about personal statements. A few. It's not really, I guess, the biggest focus of LSAT Demon, of course, but So send me an email and I can send you a couple of those links. And then if you'd like to actually dive in and work with me, that would be awesome. Let's make your essay stand out. So Leslie at lsatdemon.com.
Well, thanks again for coming on, Leslie. This was super informative, and I'm sure we could go on and talk about many other things related to the personal statement, but we'll save that for other episodes. Thanks again for coming on with me today.
Thank you so much, Eric. Great to be here.
If you've got a question about writing your personal statement, email us at daily@lsatdemon.com, and maybe we'll feature your question on a future episode with Leslie. Thanks so much for listening.